Hi, good evening. I'm Radha Gomaty, curator for my dear friend T K Hareendran's solo show, presented by Kerala Lalitha Kala Akademi and called The Shore of Alphabets. Ours has been a long and tumultuous friendship. Through some pretty difficult times, Hareendran was my senior in Baroda when he had come from the stormy scene in Trivandrum Fine Arts College to do his master's in Faculty of Fine Arts, MS University, Baroda, where I was an undergraduate student. And together, briefly, we were also there in the Indian Radical Sculptors and Association, an organization with which Hareendran has had a very long standing right from the time of its inception in college in Trivandrum. And the Hareendran I knew was the case with most of us at that time. A youngster, a young man who was deeply involved, deeply moved by the socio-cultural issues of the time, and also made a lot of deep political analysis and was actually troubled by it for a pretty long time. And as the years went by, I've had privilege of seeing Hareendran's socio-cultural and political concerns with culture deepen, widen, and broaden. The metaphor again, I would say, which I think I'm free to use for the kind of poetic work that I've been curating, with a movement like the river when it's about to fall into the sea, where she widens and broadens and deepens and becomes calm and has so much to offer as on her way to the sea. So something like that seems to have happened also with Hareendran's art. And there are multi-layered readings possible in his work today. Actually, I do not want to talk too much about his work, except point just at a few things and leave it at that, because after all, the show is opening tomorrow and art has to be seen and felt and experienced there on the spot, and that too in a wonderful venue like Durbar Hall Art Gallery. So Hareendran basically has, from the kind of intense figurative work that he used to do in the past, his work has become more to do with working with, first of all, some basic colors. Ash seems to be the one that stands out the most. Ash has got a different ending with its connection to time in Indian culture. How does time become a presence in Hareendran's work? It's perhaps a very profound question to be attempting to answer here in this very short space of time. But to keep it very simple, I think one is definitely the predominance of the color grey in his work, which I feel derives from ashes, which is the ending. And the ashes have always had, bhasma or ashes have always had a very deep connotation and connection with the concept of Kala in Indian culture. And another jump cut would be the presence of the sea itself, which Hareendran repeatedly uses as a visual metaphor. And besides the painting, where there is this presence of the ocean always there in the background. It's directly present in his videos, a couple of them shot in black and white, which are being presented in the same show here. And it is actually a documentation of his journey through the coastline of the entire South India, where definitely then it is against the backdrop of the sea that you find that the life of the shore caught almost like in emblems or pictograms. Emblems that later change into pictograms, like figures in his painting, like those of laboring bodies, fish, nets, tools, things that hold life together. And it is very interesting how the fish hook, the anchor, all the things that start with the material production that labor enables, which is the basis of a civilization. And these are not just material things at any point of time. These are emotionally and spiritually imbued by the human beings who use them. So there's also presence of the human and the non-human in Hareendran's work that play with one another. And as I said earlier, it is life that changes into the form of a pictogram, but unlike the pictogram, it's never dead. It's pulsing and live and very simple, therefore, to apprehend. It seems, it must have taken a lot of work to arrive at this level of simplicity. It's also interesting to see how some of Hareendran's larger works are actually a collection and arrangement of much smaller works and motifs. So I think at this point I should stop by saying welcome to the show, And do come at 3 p.m. and not 5:30 p.m. as it's mentioned in the invitation card, because Hareendran is actually attempting a first time in his career as an artist. He's making a floor installation, or what we would traditionally call a kalam in Kerala, but nothing traditional about this one, because he's trying to reproduce a painting of his. Instead of using yellow ochre and the shades that he would use as a painter, he's actually using sea sand filtered, and which he has hand collected along with a few other natural derivatives. So it's going to have a performative element, and the making of the installation also, I'm sure, is going to be a very interesting entry point into the very poetic range of work that this extremely interesting artist and generous artist has presented before us. So therefore, welcome to the shore of alphabet, and also welcome, here's just one more interesting point, to AAZHIYUDE Mukham, which is the artist's own free, spontaneous translation of Shore of Alphabets, which has not happened any time before where he has presented Shore of Alphabets, but in this particular one, as part of a curatorial dialogue, where Aksharam actually means, the word Aksharam denotes alphabet or language, and the word Aksharam etymologically would mean that which does not know ksharam, or which does not know decay or disintegration. That is the level at which our ancients placed language. So without a language, culture or civilization is not possible. But there's also something, language at its best also points to, alludes like a sign to that which cannot be spoken, which cannot be languaged. And that is exactly what an artist tries to do. And that is what makes this show such a special and such a poetic one. So welcome. See you there.